ladies and gentlemen, to the event safety and information video for this coming weekend's Javelani Challenge down at Bobbin Head. Before we get started, I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional custodians upon whose land we will be meeting and pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. The first thing I want to mention in this video is the event program for this weekend. You should have all received it by email. If you haven't seen that, it is also available on the latest news section of the website. Any questions you have about the event are most likely covered in the event program, so make sure you have a good read of that before Saturday. There's a few things I want to talk about for the event on Saturday, mainly revolving around safety. The first thing I want to cover off is that the course is quite technical in nature. Many runners come back and speak about how difficult it is, not so much due to the elevation gain and loss, but due to the technical nature of the trails. Any rain on Friday is going to exacerbate that. So you need to be careful on the narrow trails. Watch your footing and run to your ability. Also, an important safety thing for this event is that at different points you will be either running alongside or crossing roads during the event. Those roads are not closed. They are open to traffic and will have traffic travelling along them. You will not have right of way, the traffic will have right of way. So whenever you're running alongside a road or alongside a car park, please stick to the left, give way to any vehicles, and when you are crossing a road, pay attention to any traffic controllers or marshals at that location who will be making sure that they stop you, they do not stop the traffic. So pay attention to them. There'll be plenty of signage at that location warning you that's coming up and obviously indicating that there's a crossing coming up, but please pay special attention whenever you're traveling along or crossing roads during the event. As I mentioned, the trails are quite technical. They're also quite narrow, especially just after the start when you pass by the marina down at Bobbin Head. Therefore, there will be no mass start. There will be a self-seeded start where we will trickle feed runners onto the course. To help with the flow of runners, not only for the faster runners, but also for the slower runners, so they're not stopping and letting people pass, it will be a self-seeded start. So line up according to your goal times, and then we'll get everybody out on course nice and quickly, just trickle them through so that there won't be any blockages on the course. There will be some time target signs through the start chute. Have a look for them and line up according to your goal course. For you runners on the 45-kilometre course, especially out towards St Ives, there is some out and back sections where you'll run to a turnaround point, turn around and return the way you came. Those trails are quite narrow, so for all runners on the 45-kilometre course, pay special attention through those sections. Give each other plenty of room when passing by either the faster runners coming back or the middle of the pack runners heading out for the first time. Even with the weather on Saturday, there will be plenty of other users out on the course. We do not have exclusive use of the trails. Those walkers, runners, whatever it might be, they have as much right to be on the trails as you do. So please give them plenty of respect. Allow them to enjoy the beautiful Ku-ring-gai Chase National Park as much as you are. Give them a hi. Hopefully, they'll be joining you on the trails next year. Also, a number of times on all courses, you'll be travelling close by to local residents' dwellings. Early on a Saturday morning, plenty of those local residents will probably want a sleep in, and that's not going to be possible if there's plenty of noise being created by you runners behind their back fence. So whenever you're close by to local residents' buildings, please keep the noise down and let them enjoy their day as you enjoy yours. Speaking of the course has been very heavily marked. there will be lots of red on white arrows indicating which way to go, and red on white wrong way signs indicating which way not to go. Then along the course, there'll also be loads of pink tape indicating you are on the right course. In addition to those, there are some specialist signages where there's things like split points or things like that, road crossings ahead, turnaround points. So they'll all be out on the course as well. So keep an eye out for them. Pay attention to those signage and make sure you follow your correct course distance. On top of all those course markings, there'll also be a couple of pre-runner teams heading out before you on Saturday morning. They're some experienced trail runners who will be running the course, making sure it's marked properly, adding anything that they think needs adding, and generally making sure that there's no chance of you going the wrong way on Saturday morning. An important part of the event is getting to the event. A lot of you will be driving down to Bobbin Head. If you are planning to drive down, we strongly encourage you to carpool wherever possible. Not only does it add to the event when you have some fellow trail runners with you on the way down, sharing the pre-race nerves, and afterwards sharing the stories of glory from the trails, but it means we can minimise the number of cars coming down to Bobbin Head. There is plenty of parking at Bobbin Head, but it will fill up on event day. There's going to be traffic controllers down at Bobbin Head. They're going to be making sure we fill up all the available spots. So please follow their directions. Don't just jump in the first empty car park you see. We'll want to be following the directions of the traffic controllers to make sure we fill every spot available. Once Bobbin Head does fill up, there'll be overflow parking at Apple Tree Bay. Apple Tree Bay's the next little bay around the headland, about a kilometre and a half from the event start finish area. There'll be more parking over there. There's also going to be a free shuttle bus from Apple Tree Bay back to Bobbin Head on the event morning and then in the afternoon as well. So if you do park around Apple Tree Bay, make sure you keep an eye out for that shuttle bus, jump on board, and they'll run you over to the start line. Anyone driving down, you will need to pay the National Parks parking fee. If the gates aren't open as you enter the park, there is parking meters down at Bobbin Head, so you'll need to pay that unless you have the appropriate National Parks pass. That fee is not included in your entry fees. An even better way to get to the event is to use the shuttle buses that have been arranged. Those shuttle buses will run from Turramurra train station from 6 a.m, run down to Bobbin Head, drop you off so you're right there at the start. There's also going to be a bag drop facility at registration so you can leave your bag with us while you're running. And then once you've completed your run, you'll be able to get the shuttle bus back up to Turramurra train station. That bus will be running all afternoon. The bus will be running from 6 a.m. Up until just after 8 a.m. So it'll cover all the distances. If you do arrive at Turramurra train station and the bus is looking relatively full and you are a later runner, so if you're a 22 or 12 kilometre runner and you're there at 6 a.m, make sure you allow any runners starting earlier than you to use those buses. We don't want to have 45 kilometre runners up the top of the hill waiting for a bus when it's dropping off 12 kilometre runners who won't start for a couple of hours. So to arrive at Turramurra train station, you can either catch public transport there, catch the train there, or simply drive to Turramurra train station and park and leave your car there and get the shuttle bus rather than driving down to Bobbin Head itself. That's all I've got to cover off for today. Before I get going, I'd like to pass on a big thank you to all our terrific event volunteers who will be out at the aid stations and marshalling on course wearing their red shirts. They're giving up their Saturday to allow you to enjoy the event, so please give them plenty of thanks and high fives as you run past. And special thanks to our event sponsors, Tailwind and Tarkin, without whose support we wouldn't be able to put on the event. So thank you to those runners as well. Any further updates, we'll make sure we let you know. Otherwise, we hope to see you bright and early on Saturday morning down at Bobbin Head. Thank you.